Evening. The week is almost gone, and I'm glad that we made it through. It was a very good week. I had great satisfaction to work. I'm very grateful that I could meet many of you personally and could speak at one-on-one. And I'm going home very, very blessed and encouraged that there is something that can change human's life. And it is something that can change human's life for the good. You see what I observed in all these 15 years and of course 10 years since I'm doing it openly? What convinces me that what I do is right? Do you need to check yourself if what you do is right or not? Yes. Because we must be clear on that. And how can we prove that? And I say it's proved on the fruits that it brings. And what is the fruit of it? It is that everyone who takes the message and puts it into practice, his life changes for the good. You see, you can never take this message and it would not change you. It's impossible. It's not something that can make you a hypocrite out of you. Because it's either or. And I saw it. I see it on the face of my patients when I speak with them. When they see the truth enlightening their minds, immediately they get, wow, their faces shine. And that makes me happy and that makes me work because I know that what I do, I cannot influence what you do, but I know that what I do, and if I go home and at least one person is going to be more happy and more healthy, it was worth it. Was it? So let's go into our last study in which I hope we all got the idea that we need something on which we put our mind that cannot be changed. And that's the basic law of nature, human structure and function, and our needs that we have. 4 things that are for sure so, can never be changed. We saw that the law is very simple. Do you know the law now? What's the basic law of nature? It is everyone in this universe, without one exception, must take in order to give. In everything there is an input and necessary an output. There is nothing that can change that, and every individual must do it. On physical level, the physics take and give without a choice. On spiritual level, you always have to take as a choice. That is, you must do it yourself, the taking. And then, of course, there are the secondary laws, and we know them. They are important, but only as secondary laws. The problem that humans have is not that they break the secondary laws, that they don't know the primary laws. So the law of nature, or everything, must take to give. Can the lawgiver keep the law? For me? No, because he did not make the well come to the person. He made the person go to the well. Your tree doesn't come into your home and says, open your mouth. No, you must go out and take that from him. So there is no way that another person can do anything for you. That's why from the beginning, if you would understand the law, how much benefit do you personally have when someone loves you? None, okay? The only benefit you have is when you love yourself. That's the only benefit. Now, of course, if everyone takes love and gives love, everyone is also loved. That's the result of it. But if one would be in a society that thinks other must love him, that society could not function well. The society will only function perfectly if everyone knows it's my action, not the action of the other one, that makes me happy. I think that that's clear, and I hope our minds got it. That we will never expect from now on anything from others. Would that not be good? We do not need to control others, because what they do themselves. And what I do myself. So, the law does not permit, in the taking and the giving, there is nowhere the action of your wife, of your husband. It's only your action. Now, if we put all four things together, and that's the nice thing, all those four basic principles, the law, function and structure, and need, you will see that they all four meet in one point. So, how many things do we need to take in consideration? Well, 1 point. 1 point. So the law begins with whom? With God. Yeah, He made it. So God made the law. He is love, righteousness, liberty, security. He is the means by which we must work. The human being begins where? With identity. Okay? I hope you got it. You start with who you are. I am a created being of God. The human function starts with what? It's trust. Yes? You know the circle, we went through it last night. Trust, motivation, decision, electricity, cortex, limbic system, and so on, getting back to identity. And what is the first need with which we start? Love. So love puts all these things in action. Here comes oxygen, water, food, warmth, sleep, and sun. They're all entities after that of love. So, God is love, we function with love, we must take love from Him, and we must give it further. And so everything begins and ends with love. Is it nice? It's perfect. Because if God is love, He made that everything should start and finish with love. Sometimes when I think about it, it blows my mind. Because it's the most important thing, love. And it's the most neglected thing in medicine and in religion. It's almost ignorance. I was doing some teachings in a health center. I mean, they want to become a health center in July. They open it in Romania. It's another one. They invited me to do some teachings with them. And some of them were not convinced that the issue of man is love, not food. And so I said to them, there comes a person at your door and knocks because he has a cancer. You must know, why does he have cancer? Does he miss food? Does he miss food? No. And imagine he comes into your institution and you offer him food. Wouldn't that be a mistreatment? When a person has a physical issue, You put him on a diet. Yes or no? You put him on a treadmill. You put him to do anything. But you miss that his physical thing shows that he needs love. You see, we must understand that. The people who come to us with the disease are broken. They don't miss food. That might be an effect that they eat the wrong things. But they miss love. Love is the greatest need of men today. Do you see it or not? I hope so. And when we get our problems, you see, I got a blister here, you saw it? I didn't have it at the beginning. It's a cold sore, you call it, here in New Zealand. Whenever God wants to teach me something, he gives me a cold sore. Because he knows I hate it. You see, whenever I get any symptoms, no one knows what I feel. Yes? My wife never knows I have a headache, or I'm dizzy, or I'm painful in my stomach, because I never put any weight on anyone. But she sometimes observes when I eat, because, you know, women have a sixth sense or whatever, and she says, do you have stomach pain? Now, I hope this heals until I get home. Because she will look into my face, and she knows exactly, and says, I was not with you, and you had a cold sore because of me. You see, last year I was in New Zealand, and my mouth was all over with cold sore. But my wife was with me. And this time I thought it won't happen because she's not with me. But I speak now twice a day with her. You know, that's the good thing. When it's here evening, it's morning with her. So I speak with her when I go to bed, when she is already awake. And when she goes to bed, I speak with her. That's when I am in the morning starting my work. So usually when I'm gone, I speak in the evening with her. Yeah, we pray together and go to bed. So she said something to me, and when this appeared on Wednesday morning, and I saw it, I wouldn't believe it. But I had to accept it. The next day it was grown. And then I said, what did I do wrong? And I know my body, 48 hours it takes until it gets out after the event. After the thought process that makes it, it takes 48 hours in my life. So, what did I do wrong? You see, it happened on Monday when I phoned my wife. I mean, I would not even thought that it would ever did me any wrong. But when this came out, I went back, I said, okay, what was it? And I came to see that when I talked to her, she said in a side sentence something about my mom. You see, I have my mom at my home and my mother-in-law at my home. Because when God blesses you, he brings you all the moms in your home. You laugh, but it's the truth. I consider it's a blessing, because it's a duty when they are old that we should take care for them physically. But if there would be love among them, everything would be fine. But now I am the one who needs harmony, and he wants to make that all things should be good. And so it's a terrible thing that when she told me about something positive or negative about my mom? Negative. It pierced my heart just for a millisecond. And the next moment, I didn't think anymore of it, and gone was it. But when the thing came out, I went back, because God knows you have to take care. Whatever your wife says, you are happy. You don't pierce your heart with that knife. Because what is that piercing? It's forcing her, what? To love my mom. And then I discovered that I'm still hanging on my mom. Do I need my mom with 55 years? I hope not. I cut that cord again and again. But it's still there. It's the hardest thing to get rid of your mom. I mean, I didn't want to make you laugh. Let's say it this way, because you misunderstand. The only way to get rid of a person is to love him. You know that? The only way to be free in a relationship is to love. That's the only way. And it's the hardest way to love your mom, because from your mom you have expectations. And from your wife, even more. So I want that my wife should love my mom, and my mom should love my wife. Can I force it? No, I still try it. With a choice or no choice? No choice. Thank God for the cold blister who shows me that I am still not loving. I'm still forcing. Can you remember what's the worst thing? What's the worst thing of evil? The worst thing of evil is to force the good on others. That's the worst thing of evil. Does it look evil? No. If I would have had the disease of the body, I would have never seen that forcing someone to do the good is the worst of all evil. Because it's the anti-love. Force and love. Do they come together? We all know that. No one needs to teach us. A child knows what love is, because we must take that love and give that love. And love makes us free from all relationships, because it binds us to them by a cord that is total flexible. You allow your wife to love or not to love your mom. You allow your mom to love or not to love your wife, because you love them. Love does never compel anyone to do the right. Love can suffer everything. So this is the place where we must understand ourselves. Love has no force. And disease comes because we all have good intentions. We all want the good. But in the end, we do the wrong. So, let's go to our lecture. Everything that a man does comes out of trust or faith. All the problems that we have is just to whom are we connected to. I hope that you see it's not the work that the stove performs, but it's where it is plugged in. So men have only a problem not with their action, but with their plugging in. And since that is unconscious, you can only see on your actions that you are plugged in the wrong. So this showed me that I'm plugged into God or plugged into my wife. Plugged into my wife. You can never be plugged into yourself. Yes, but that's a deception. As a God, you don't need to plug in anywhere. So we are not God. That's why to be not God and to think you are, it's a terrible thing. Yeah, it mixes up everything. It makes everything worse. So we have two things in life: dependency and freedom. The taking is of no choice. But if we take love, everything we do is a free action. You have no problem every time when you take love and you do anything out of love. Every deed is a free deed. You were never forced. You see, when I would love my wife perfectly, whatever she tells me, I would say, oh, honey, poor you. You got upset about my wife, about my mom. Can I help you? But I would not see myself the victim. But in that moment, I saw myself the victim. Why can he not do that? You know, that's when I want to do it. But why? Because I was not plugged into God, but plugged into my wife. So the effect always shows you when you do not do things that are free, you do them forced. Yes? And that's what we saw in our, but maybe we go this way. So, why did I do that? Why did I try to force my wife? Because Adam and Eve took their trust away from God, and so we were changed, becoming a God. So that's why we think we don't need to trust anyone. We think we have independency on spiritual level, and we don't see that that's a deception. You see, whenever people lose a loved one, why do they mourn? Now, why do they mourn? Because they were plugged in to that person. That's all the problem. But if you're plugged into that person, what happens with your actions when that person dies? Are they still free or not free? No. You go and some kill themselves, some, I don't know what they do, because they lost their source of life. That's why they eat too much, the one eat too much, the other work too much, the other drink too much, the other sleep too much, the other talk too much, or whatever they do it without a choice. They lose their choice to be nice. They lose their choice to be free. So whenever we have an issue here, we know this is just an effect. We must see to whom am I plugged in. That's the only problem that we have. Because this here starts with love, and we need a love source. But our wrong identity does deviate the trust. It does not let us trust in God. Even if you want to trust, you cannot. We must trust humans. We have no choice. That's why we are born, and we go and trust and trust and trust unconsciously to the wrong source. It's not something that you have a choice for, because you must attach in order to give. But since you don't know the law, you don't know yourself, you think you are detached. All our problems come because we cannot connect to God. Not that we do not want to connect to God. That's why religious people make no difference in life. Yes? The first thing that I saw in my practice was, because I have all kinds of religious people coming as patients, and I said, their religion does not help them at all. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Buddhist, a whatever you think you are. You come to me with your disease, and I prove that something you miss. Now, yes, we are not from the beginning straight. I'm still fighting. But at least you know where your problem is. At least you know where to search to solve it. But when I tell people their problem, they have a hard time sometimes to see it. So I said, let's put all religious people together and find out what they love most. And take them what they love most away. And see how they react. And then you have their religion exposed. Because that, what you cannot, that it can be taken away from you, that shows that you are attached to something you cannot control. You're attached to something you cannot control. So we must understand our problem is that we are attached. And I love the atheists because they are open-minded. And they come to my office and I said, look, it's your mom that you're attached to. That's why you're sick. And I prove it to him by his own story. And just recently was a 39-year-old gentleman. He was atheist. I live in a secular world, and New Zealand is also quite secular. And that isn't bad. And this guy had for 4 years his issues on his left ear, which is his dependency to his mom. He did some investments, he gave his money to his mom, and mom put the money in the wrong place, and mom didn't tell anything, and at the end everything came out 5 years ago, and now his mom brought him a great loss. Now he cannot trust mom anymore, and they have to deal with it. But he cannot change mom. Can he change mom? No. But he tries. But why would he try mom to change? For whose sake? For his sake. Does he know the process? No. So that's why I show him, look, your disease, your physical disease comes because you're spiritually attached to your mom. Now he's atheist, he does not know anything about God. Or he has preconceived conception about God. And because religious people don't do God a good job being the most loving people, is it? Because if religious people would do God the best job, God would be well seen around. But since religious people are not connected to God as well, they cannot love. So all of them search just themselves. So he is not religious, but I proved to him, I said, look, you are dependent to take from someone. You cannot choose not to be dependent spiritually. Now, here is your mom, and you drank from her, you take from her, and you see in what miserable state you got. There is a better well than your mom. And God is a better well. If you drink from him, you get well. So the only option would be not to be needed to drink. But that option we don't have. There is no option to be spiritually independent. There is no option. Even if you want to go, you can go. But latest, when someone who you love dies, latest when someone disappoints you, latest when something bad happens, or latest when your dream that you dreamed does not come true, you get a problem. You get a problem. So I told this gentleman, you have a choice between your mom and God. And then he leaves my practice. Because more I cannot do for him. I promise him if he changes the source, he will be well. And I explain him also what he must do, at least willing to do. But first I must show him his problem. And all problems of humanity are one. And that is to whom I am attached. Let's look. If those who know the Bible go through Bible history, they will see that every problem has the same root. Lucifer trusted in himself. He disconnected himself from God, thinking he must not take anymore. He wanted just to give. You see, the problem is never the giving. All the problem is the taking. The fallen angels trusted Lucifer. Eve trusts the serpent. Adam trusts his wife. Abraham trusts his wife and has with Hagar the son. Isaac trusts his son. Jacob trusts his mother. Moses trusts the people. Elijah trusts Jezebel. You know the story of Elijah? The great man. Rain falls. And here is this lady, the wife of a king, that sends him a letter and says, tomorrow by this day you will be killed. And Elijah, what does he do? Runs for his life. Whom did he trust? Can Jezebel take his life? No. He could say, throw the thing away and sleep. But you see, he was tested and he did not trust completely. Peter trusted the Jewish people and many others. And this gentleman here is Paul. He trusted the leaders of the church. That's why he got into prison. He trusted the good idea, which was wrong. Yes, he wanted to make some people happy. They said to him, look, there are many Jewish people in the church, and they are so for the law. And you preach that you don't need to keep that law anymore, that ceremonial law. Now, please perform these ceremonies that you prove to them that's wrong. Good idea or not? Just for the sake of peace. And Paul did it. Reasonable or unreasonable? Reasonable or unreasonable? Totally unreasonable, especially when you know that 3 weeks before he wrote the letter to the Galatians where he says, if I'm a servant of man, if I'm not a servant of God, I want to be, or if I'm still serving of man, I'm be cursed. But you see, it's easy to write to those that are under you. But when your leaders tell you, look, you're willing to make compromise. Every compromise of humanity comes because you want to please a human. Just to not make him angry. But it's his choice to be angry. But you will never move from the principle. So the list goes through. So there is only one thing that we can do wrong, and that is to whom we trust. So the one thing that needs to be solved in our life is identity. What stops us to trust God must be taken away. And that is the idea that I am God. That's the idea that I am God. And God does not need to trust. So the cross just comes for one thing. It wants to remove and must remove the idea that I'm someone that I'm not. But the cross is just a symbol. Yes? Because it's about truth and lie. But the cross shows if you are mortal, are you divine or human? You're human. A God does not die. God cannot die. So we must know who we are. So I studied the life of Jesus. Jesus came onto this earth, and we don't have time, but and he had two natures, because he was half his mother, half from his father. And he was the one that crucified the nature and resurrected a new creature. So the Jesus who resurrected was another creature. He was the same person, but it was a total new creation, the second Adam. So he went into the heaven and lives there and works as a high priest and comes as a king soon back. So let us look, what was Jesus' temptations in his life? How many temptations did he have? I come back again. So Jesus was in relationship with humans, with Lucifer, with humans and animals. He had the same heart as we have. He must take in order to give. And that is the law of life. So, here was trust. In whom did he trust? His Father. He loved his Father because he needed Father's love. For whom? To give it to us. Yes, what takes in, that comes out. So, that's why he had a healthy body. Now, tell me, where was Jesus tempted? How many temptations did Jesus face? Now, I mean, not in quantity, but in quality. Where can you only be tempted? In the trust. Every temptation of Jesus was just at this point. Because every temptation came to him to take his attachment to God away. You see, if he would have made out of stones bread, what would he have proven? He would have proven that God does not take care for him and he must save his life. So he could not do out of stones bread except he detaches from his Father. Because the doing of the bread out of stone is a detachment. First you must detach. That's why he was tempted, do the bread. Your father lets you die. Did his father let him die? He almost died without food. But Jesus says, if my Father wants me to die, that's fine. Because he said, man does not live by bread alone. By what? By the love of God. That's the word. And he trusted his Father for his life. His second temptation, jump down because your Father promised you, he won't hurt you. What was the trick at that temptation? You have a word, you have a promise. Why do you not jump? Why would you not jump? Because God didn't tell you to jump. You see, people take the promises of God and jump without ever God telling them to jump. That's presumption. It's just a misconception. Because the devil tempted Jesus in one point. Do you trust or not trust? Well, we say in all points because there is only one point. You see the arguments that people come and say, well, Jesus didn't have a wife that make him, didn't have children that were disobedient. How could he be my Savior? Well, it doesn't matter by which outward sign you are tempted, you're always tempted at the same place. So does it matter by which you are tempted if it's always the same place? No. He was even more tempted than we are because he could have saved himself. Have you ever been tempted to make bread out of stones? I was never tempted to do that. Yeah? So, the third temptation is for us a big one, but for Jesus it was no temptation. Because the devil comes and shows him what? The whole world. It says, you came to save the world, look, I give it to you, just take it from me. Because we know worship is taking. And what Jesus says, there is nothing that you can offer me. This is not your world. This is my Father's world. That's why I will only take this kingdom from God, not from you. There are only two kinds of temptations. Either not to take from God, that is to take from another one, or when God gives you to take something, to not take it. Those are the two things in which you can fail. And Jesus, what was the hardest thing? To overcome not taking from humans or not taking from God? Now you don't know it because my language is not so perfect. But what was his greatest temptation in the desert or in Gethsemane? In Gethsemane. Because in Gethsemane, who gives him the cup? His Father. Why does he sweat blood? What was his struggle? To take the cup or not to take the cup? And he knew that the cup was difficult or not difficult? Difficult. And you know what is our temptation? We think the cup is too big. It's too hard for us. You see, there is a promise that we have that nothing that comes in our lives is too heavy or too big to overcome. Nothing. Do you believe it? So then you have no fears anymore for what comes onto you. But Jesus did not want to take the cup. Why? He feared it would be too heavy. And the devil stood between the cup and Jesus says, don't take it. This time he was there to stop that Jesus should not take from his Father. So Jesus had to trust his Father completely, that cup would not be too much, and he will make it. But it was a deep battle in his heart. So we have only two things that we have to overcome in life. To not take from humans, and when God gives us something to take, to not say no. Yeah? That's all. There is not more, there's no more, not more than that. And so it's so nice to know that you are vulnerable only in one point. You know, there is a fantasy, I don't know, in German, when we were young at school, we learned that fantasy, that there was a little baby that was fallen into the blood of a dragon, and just that blood made him invincible for anything from outside, except there was a leaf from a tree that fell somewhere on his back, and that leaf was the only point where he could be vulnerable. And I know that story from my childhood and from school, and when I saw that we are only vulnerable in one place, and if that place is safe, everything is safe. That makes simple, isn't it? At least for me. We are only vulnerable where we take from. So Jesus had to overcome, and he had to be the one that trusts his Father all the time, because here he proves that everything he did was out of love. Now I was also born on this earth, and I always try to make things practical, but you don't need to put me in, but you can see yourself there, you can put your own pictures. So I was born blind, that is, with these glasses. How much good things could I do in my life? Nothing, until the cross. Everything you do is wrong. Your good deeds, the Bible calls filthy rags, yes? Because you do it out of selfishness. You do it out of the wrong motivation, and you do it disconnected from God. How much good can you do disconnected from God? Nothing. Nothing. That's why I thought until the cross I'm a quite good person. I had a few problems, but not that I thought it's so difficult. So on 7th June 2003, I shared my story one of these nights. My whole life was taken from him, and I got a new life. So his earthly life and his earthly thing that he got from his father, he gave to me. The cross is an exchange of lives. Everything I did until the cross now is not my life. It is his life. And all he did is now my life. I have his and he has mine. You see, I did many wrong things. I did terrible things. No one knows them, and I never will tell them. But do they ever lie on my shoulder? Why not? They are not mine anymore. Not mine. And I know I did them without a choice. I had to do them. Because if you have no connection, no possible connection to God, everything you do, you have no choice. I hope you understand. We are born prisoners without a choice to do good, even though some people think they can do that. So, on 7th June 2003, all the bad things I did, because I was not aware where I did it from, are gone. I look back and I say, it's not my life. Because I told you, I think already, my wife sometimes remembers me of the old days. And I say, please, talk to my Savior, not to me. It's not my business. It's not my life. If you want to do anything with it, talk to him. He took it all over. I am a free person. That's forgiveness. Yes, that's forgiveness. But what happens with those deeds that would have done to us? You see, when I killed yesterday a person and I come today to the cross, who killed the person? If yesterday I killed a person, yeah, I got angry on my wife, and today I come to the cross, who killed the person? You see why he sweat blood in the garden? Because he took all that on himself. Like he would have done it, even though he never did it. But how could I ever be saved if it would remain on my account? Could I ever? No. But let's see, yesterday I was molested or abused sexually or beaten up, and today I come to the cross. Who was abused and who was molested and who was beaten? Am I free? Yes. I see patients that have been abused as a child. I had a 40-year-old woman. She was abused when she was 9 years old. It was one thing. It happened one time on the street. A car took her and all that. But she came to me because she could not have kids. Now I know when you cannot have kids, there's something that is in your heart a burden. And I talked to her, and she told me her story. Now, how many years are passed? 30 something? Yes? Did she solve the problem? Do you need to forget? No, you never need to forget. But what do you need to realize? To be free. You need to see that it was not done to you. It was done to your Savior. And then, how are you? Free. But what do you need for this? A little bit faith. Yes. It takes a little bit of faith to believe that your life is not your life. But it's the truth, no matter if you believe it or not. The cross opens up our eyes and shows that he takes everything on him. Did he restore us already, or did he not restore us? Yes, here in the resurrection, he restored humanity and lifted it up as the adopted sons of God. Higher than the angels we will be in heaven. So every injury that was done on us is already repaired. We just await the inheritance on that day when we get it. Will we mourn now that we were damaged physically? When we already know it's just a matter of time until we are restored? Yes or no? Will we mourn it? No. So she cannot overcome anything that was done unto her except she sees it was not done unto her. And she just needs to want that. And the cross will make her free. You see, I could keep you here because I love the gospel. And when Paul says, we preach the power of the cross. For the Jewish, it is a stumbling block. And for the Greek, a stupid thing. But for us, it is the power of God. Because it shows us, it makes us free. And I shared a little bit what happened with me on 7th June 2003. When I took that decision to not take any more from my wife and to not want to be made happy from a woman. All my addictions, and I was really addicted for 20 years, gone. And people sometimes come to me and say, but I thought that you need some techniques. You know, you once leave the cigarettes here or there, or then, you know, there is never a technique that you need to get rid of addictions. Because you just work on the effect. An addiction is an effect because you have something on your heart. You want to be happy. I want to be happy. I was soccer addicted. I was movie addicted. I couldn't stop the TV. I was at the hospital. I was on call. You know, doctors are on call every few nights. And you have a room where you can lay down if no one comes. And then you have at the foot of the bed, you have the TV. And I was zapping. Maybe something comes that fills my heart. I fell asleep with that zip in the hand. And I thought sometimes, if you don't stop it at midnight, you know, at 3 o'clock, some crazy people shows up with bleeding of the nose or whatever. They wake up and have a sound in the ear and they wake you up, you die. Do you like to be woken up at 3 o'clock? But I couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop it. You know, when a blonde woman, I was addicted to blonde women. So, you don't choose who you like. You know that? You don't choose who you like. One day I told my wife that blonde women are attractive to me. You know, my wife is not blonde. What happened the next day? She was blonde. That's unwoman nice. For whom did she do it? No. She wanted that I should look to her, not to other blonde women. You see, now not only the blondes, but they're special. So you never choose who you like, you know that? And when it went over, I still remember, we were in the car with all 6 children at Grand Canyon, our first vacation with all together. I was sitting in the front, I was driving the truck, the van, my wife was here, and the blonde woman passed the street. And of course, my muscles, they work from themselves. they go. You cannot keep them. You just go. And the children in the back, they saw it. My wife commented. The children until today know exactly the comment and the scene. But I could not keep my muscles. There was no choice. But what happened on the cross on 7th June 2003? You see what happened? I went, it was a very hot summer, and we went swimming with our children. And you saw in Germany, I don't know if it's here also, but in Germany they are almost naked, when they go to swim. And there are parts of lakes where you're naked. And then sometimes you go to have some sightseeing. And so I love to go to have sightseeing. And so I went there to swim with my children. And I sensed that I have no need for sightseeing anymore. And I said, God, what did you do with me? I have control. Now, of course, I'm a man. A woman is still a woman for me. Yes, it's not that I talk to a woman like to a man. There's still an attraction there that is normal and God-given, but it is under control. My muscles don't need anymore to. And then when I saw that God gave me liberty, I said, Lord, I won't look again. Because am I now free to look? Yes. God never binds you to not look. But how stupid I would be to look at least too long, Now, you understand? This is that the cross gives you a power that you cannot explain. I did nothing to quit my addictions. I have today no effort I don't watch any movies since then. No movies anymore, no TV. I even don't know when I would have the time. But even if I would have the time, there is no attraction anymore. Now, of course, when I see at the neighbors in the airplane what they watch, sometimes I'm attracted to see because what you see attracts you. But I have no tendency to open my TV to see any stupid thing there. Because I hate violence. I hate unfaithfulness. I hate those things that are running around there. So what shall I watch? You see, sometimes when I eat, I think, let's watch something. So I watch the natural documentaries. But you see, it's the same thing. You always see a lion running after a poor thing. And I say, Lord, they always film the same thing. Because that excites people when the one kills the other. Isn't that a bad thing? I said, not even this you can see anymore. Because they don't show the beauty of how they live. Yes, that's terrible that an animal must kill another animal to die. That's why we know that God didn't create it so. But you have no inner desire anymore for those things that you could not before stop. That is the power of the cross. The power of the cross must bring to you something that is supernatural. That is not that you can do with your own. That's why when we come to the cross, we become people that can love. And if this lady with 41 years or 42, who was abused with 9, comes to the cross, she can love the abuser. By her own? By her own? No. But can God love the abuser? Yes or no? Yes. Because his love doesn't stop him. I mean, there is no action that will ever change God to not love you. There's no action. Because he cannot otherwise. You can do whatever you want. He will ever be loving you. Because you see, if evil would change God, then evil would be stronger than love. But God remains the same. He will never leave you or forsake you. The only one that leaves or forsakes is yourself. So, I hope we understand the only chance to become free is to experience the power of the cross. That is, to experience truth. And truth says, it's not my life. Jesus says, if you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you will not live for yourself anymore. Because that's salvation. Unselfishness is life. Nothing on earth lives for itself except man. But was I ready after the cross? Was I ready on 7th June 2003? Or did I just start it? I just started a new life. And that life grows in my life. And every day, like you see here on my blister, I still have to go to the cross. Because I have to remove at the cross. At the cross happens two things. It's not just that I need forgiveness. You know, I don't even care for forgiveness. I know that God can forgive me any actions. But I want liberation. I just want that my muscles shouldn't go anymore. Or that I do not have anything that moves me when others do wrong. So, I want liberation. That's why I go to the cross. This leads me to the cross and say, okay, how, God, can I become a person that loves my wife as she is? And I hate that I still don't do it. I hate that I still don't love my mother just freely and would like to change her. I hate it. But I still do it. And I know only the cross can give me the power, the enlightenment. Because it's I hope you understand the symbol. It's the truth and the lie, wherever is there. And so I believe I'm somewhere here in the process. But I have a goal. And my goal is to become what? Total free. You see here Christ and I are one. This is a conscious process that we have to do. And then when he comes, I will be changed in a new creature. So let's go fast through it and see to come to a conclusion. So I must take from humans. The cross makes the road free to take again from God. And it brings me the new identity that stops me to take from human. Because it's either or. Because you can put your trust only in one direction. So now, of course, you stop at one place, you have others where you still trust in humans. That's why it's a growing process, like you understand it. You see, and disease is something that shows you, oh, I still trust in humans. So the cross you need to apply again and again whenever you see it. And every time you apply to the cross, the wrong identity is taken away and the right is growing. And while you grow as a child of God, you stop trusting in humans. And so the cross just changes everything until one day the cross has finished its work. And you are a child of God, and then you do not trust anyone else except God. Because then your trust goes automatically like it was with Adam, and then humanity is restored. Humanity is restored. So, as a challenge, I have connection to God, to Lucifer, to humans and animals. I have a heart that needs to take in order to give. For why do I need God? Because I need His love. For whom is His love? For my wife and my mother, especially. Yes? And for the children, and for all those we say we love. Then my body will be healthy and the blisters will disappear. I hope one day they never get back, they never come back, because I won't be hurt. I won't see myself a victim again. So, where do I have my struggle? At the giving or at the taking? At the taking. The faith of Jesus is my victory. Because I must trust here. Here is my only issue of life. There is never another issue that you face. Then from whom do you want to be made happy? And we must understand no one can make us happy. It's only us, the way we take from where we take in order to give. All our diseases, I didn't find the time to put all the PowerPoints together because it was short, but all our diseases come because we have here, instead of God, the humans. We have put this R on this place. That's why we are so miserable. And we don't have none on this place. This is reality. This is breaking our hearts because we have this people instead of God or beneath God. And there is one Bible verse that that really helped me a lot to understand. It's written in Luke 16 or Luke 14:26. There was a great multitude. They came after Jesus to follow him. Did Jesus like great multitudes to follow him? Yes or no? Not really. So he turned around to them and said, "Do you know what you do? Have you made your calculation why you come after me?" And he gives them a measurement, what would make them his disciples. And he says this. He says, if you don't hate your mother and your father and your son and your daughter and your wife and your husband and your own life, you cannot be my disciple. And if you don't take the cross every day, you cannot be my disciple. And then he gives two parables and says, you must calculate before you want to do something. And at the end he says, no one can be my disciple if he not forsakes everything that he has. Do you like it? It looks like a heavy thing, is it? But in the end, he just says, until you realize the truth that you have nothing, you will claim a thing while you have nothing. It's just realizing the truth that you are a creature. You can use everything, but never think that they are yours. So why does he say to hate your mother, your father, and your own life? You know what Jesus means? If you want to be my disciples, you must trust me only. You must hate to trust your mom, your father, because those are the closest people. You see, diseases come because the closest people hurt you. Disease is that situation. And I will finish with a lady that I saw not long ago. She didn't know me. She asked person to come, that I should come to visit her. She's 59 years old or 58, and her belly is full of cancer. And she asked me to come to see her. I went. And of course, when you have a cancer, people, you know what's his problem or not? You know now? Yes or no? What does he miss? Love. He's brokenhearted. Because his love source, where he takes love, is not there. Now this lady, she told me her story. When she was 3 years old, her parents rejected her and gave her to her grandparents. When she was 13, the brother of her girlfriend abused her sexually. When she was 19, 18, she found a man who she married and had 3 children with him. To find out 8 years right now, when her, I don't know, the first or second son died on cancer, on colon cancer, that the father, that her husband, abused all the children sexually for a long time. Now, she separates, she divorces, but has she solved the problem? No. Is hope for her? In what? You see, I told her this. You have many issues because the parents failed you, the abuser failed you, the husband failed you, and the child failed you because he died. And there is only one question that I put to them, that I said to her, are you willing to let all the debtors go? Because she thinks they have done wrong to whom? To her. Did they do wrong to her? Well, they did it on her body, but it was done on the property of God. Who will take care for righteousness? Who will take care? God. Because God gave the law to not abuse. God gave the law to keep your children at home. God gave the law that the husband and the wife should not abuse their children. God gave the law. And He will take everyone on account what He does to His subjects. He's righteous. And He's love. He's independent. He can judge righteously because He has no personal interest. Because He lives without being dependent on any one of us. But He loves us. So I asked her to give the debt in Christ's hands. Easy or not easy? Not easy. But what is heavy in it? If you would get spiritually free and physically healed, what is heavy in it? It's just what? The desire of a choice. It's just, I want it or I want it not. And I gave her in 1 hour enough reasons that she should see on her spiritual and her physical level that she is a prisoner because of what others did. And the only way to be free is to understand that they did not do it to her. And if they did not do it to her, if it's not the personal loss, she is free. Does she need divine power for that? Can she do it by her own? But she has the choice to take that power. I have a few patients that really, like Margaret, took the challenge and said, okay, I will let the ones that I think has hurt me to see that they didn't hurt me. But I have one patient, I mentioned him this morning, but he's my favorite patient because he's a doctor as well, and a philosopher. And he got MS, multiple sclerosis, because he had a childhood and his parents were in debt to him. He got it in one afternoon when he was 55 years old. He went to visit a patient at his home, and he got blind in an instant second. Light was gone. And his urine bladder was paralyzed. Two things, urine bladder and the eyes, paralyzed. Never recovered. He's now over 70. And when I started to learn why we get sick, I promised him, after knowing something of his story, I said, if you will ask God to give you love for your mom, He will make you seeing immediately. Of course, I prayed before. And you know, I learned from God how to heal, because I cannot heal. But I know without faith, can anyone be healed? No. But faith must be here, not here. You don't need faith to be healed. You need faith to solve the cause. So I said to him, I think it's 6 or 10 years, I know how many years it's gone already since I challenged him with this simple prayer. Now, if you would be blind, think about it. And someone would tell you, if you just say, God, please give me love for my mom, wouldn't you do it to recover your eyesight? Yes or no? Why can he not do it? First of all, because he's a physician. You know why? Physicians don't know how humans work. And he said to me, my nerves are gone. They have no life in them anymore. I said, no matter. You didn't make them, the maker can make them again. Does he believe that? No. He mocks me sometimes when I go to visit him, and he says to the nurses who take care for him, he says, he believes I can see again. Does it help him what I believe? Does it help him? No. But I keep, just last week I was with him, and he wasn't good. He was just laying in bed, and I said, look, if you just say this one little prayer, what would it cost you? You know what it cost? It cost him everything. It cost him everything. Because in that little prayer, the whole problem that he has is expressed. He confesses, I have no love, I must take it from you, God. He confesses that he must love his mom, that he might be well. Like you have to eat to be well, you must love to be well. But for this, he is a little bit too proud yet. But I challenged him, I said, please, do it and tell me you did it and it didn't work. Make me a liar. You see, I pressed him. Nothing happened yet. But I still hope. I hope at least when he has his last breath, I will tell him, look, what can you lose? Your life is over. There is nothing that you can lose if you just try it. And I'm convinced the Lord will heal him. Because that's how he heals. Only through faith. Not in the healing, but in wanting to solve the problem. There was one man once in my practice who had a mental disease, and he said he's possessed. And he said, many people tried to make me free from the demons. And I said to him, and he, I don't know how it came, and said, "Can you make me free?" And I said, "No. And I won't pray for you, except you want to accept the condition." And he said, "What is the condition?" I said, "The condition is to have faith in God. The condition is that you want to love." And then he said, "Do I need to believe everything that is written in the Bible? Even the creation?" I said, "Yes, why not?" And then he turns to me and says, "The price is too high." And so I said, "Okay, when you're ready to pay the price, come back." You see, there is no power if we pray for others if they don't know the condition, what they must fulfill in order to become free. The power comes from God, but the condition is with you. This we must understand. God cannot take in our stead. We must take from Him. So, that's the challenge for you. Do you think it's hard to become healed? Or simple? It's simple. But it takes how much of you? All of you. You must see that you are a human. You must see that you're not a creator, but you are a creature. You must see your limits. And you must be willing to give up that what keeps you in bondage. Yes, you have no choice that you have it. That's the blind eyes with which you are born. But you receive a choice through disease, through depression, through all those things that we experience. And even if it's just a crisis and you're not sick yet, you receive a choice to see in whom you trust. And it's just one thing that we need to change. In whom do I want to trust? I can tell you, in these 15 and a half years that I lived now, starting to trust God more and more. Yes, life is a battle, but it's a battle for freedom. I imagine myself sometimes, I'm born in a prison, and it takes me 20 years to make a tunnel beneath the prison walls to get free. And if every day I just go a centimeter forward, yes? Is it worth it? Yes. I tell you, for me the goal that one day, I don't know how fast I can go, but one day that tunnel will be done. And I will see the light. And I will come out free. You see, my son, who just recently, 3 years ago converted, he was always an atheist. He said, God does not exist. But the law of life convinced him. He said, I don't even care, he says, for the eternal life. Just the idea to become a free agent makes me to want it. Just the idea to be free one day, to love, and no one can press you, no one can do you anything. I mean, for me, it's the highest thing to become. And free people are only those people who love. Because if we are not bound to God, we can never love, and only love will make us free from all the others. So it's your challenge. What do you want to do? It's simple, but it takes all. And I'm glad that God brought me on the 7th June into that thing to say something that I didn't even mean, so that He could save me. I will ever be thankful for that. I know how it is to be the other side of the river, and I know how it is to be on this side of the river. And everyone must experience that, which I call conversion, giving up the irrationality and taking truth and become free. So there's much more to say, but I will finish here with this challenge. Not before I tell you what my goal is. I have a business card. Usually I show my business card at the end, but I hadn't time to put it here. But I have a business card that I would suggest to see if it would fit you as well. And that business card is in printing. It's not yet printed. But it will be printed in human body, yes. It will be written on flesh and blood, so to say. And it says this: though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not love, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burnt and have not love, it profiteth me nothing. How many negative things does he enumerate here? There's no negative things in all this enumeration. They are all good works. But if they do not come out of love, how much worth do they have? Nothing. That's why love is the only thing that makes a difference. There's nothing else that can make a difference in a life. Because one thing the devil cannot produce, love. And that is especially to give liberty to those who do wrong. Love can do that. Selfishness and pride never. So, I come to my business card. Love suffereth long. And since I don't like to be impersonal, I say, I put my name instead of love. It sounds better. Horst suffereth long. With whom? With the good or with the evil? Only with the evil. With the good, you don't need to suffer long, because the good are okay. Horst suffers long and is kind. To whom is he kind? To the evil. Because to the other one, it's easy to be kind. Horst is kind. Horst envieth not. Horst vaunteth not itself. Horst is not puffed up. Does not behave himself unseemly. Horst seeketh not his own. He is not easily provoked. You like it? Not easily provoked. Thinketh no evil. In German it says he doesn't remember the evil that was done unto him. You know, he is free. Rejoices not in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. You see, love has discernment. Yes? He knows what is right and what is wrong. Horst beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. How much power is there? All power. All power. Love is all powerful. And if we would use it, take it, in order to give it, we would be that. And the best thing comes, Horst never faileth. You see, whatever will bring us in heaven, it will not be anything else than love. It's the same thing that we miss on earth. The same thing that we need is that which is all in all. And if that which is all in all would go through our spirit, it will make our body healthy and our life beautiful. One young man, he was a lawyer, student, a lawyer, he heard me saying, putting my name into that, and he said, I go home now and I write this chapter anew and I put it over my bed in my bedroom, and I write, whenever there is love, I write Horst. I said, you missed something. But he brought me a good idea. I said, put your own name. You see, friends, would you like to put your own name there and say, this must be my business card? Will it happen just by choice? Will it happen by chance, I would say? Will it happen by chance? No. No. But it will happen for sure if we are going to persevere. So, how many would like to have this business card? Okay? Because you see, when I leave here, I would love to leave people who start loving. Because I know love is the greatest power. Will society change when we start loving? Do you believe it? Yes. We will have such a great influence. Without even trying to do, I don't know, great things. Just by being loving people. Being people who are reasonable, who are kind and nice. I believe it's nice to be around those people. And I want to become that person. I want to become that person that anyone who is around me perceives an atmosphere of love and peace. Because that's the greatest power. And I believe that day when I am going to be total unselfish, that will be the most powerful day, the most powerful influence to help others for the good. So that's my challenge, that's my call. I would love to have people here in New Zealand when I come back in 1 year or 10 years or whenever. If God gives us still time to find people that love more than they love today. Because love is everything we need. So, any questions for tonight? Please.
Why do you think that some people battle for freedom is so much harder than others?
What? I didn't understand the question.
Why do you think that some people battle for freedom is so much harder than others?
Why do some want more freedom, or why do it easier for some or harder for the others?
Why is it harder for some and easier for others? Like, why can some people make the,
I don't know. I don't know what stops them.
like some people can struggle with things for 10, 20 years and it's still hard. Some people can have a sore toe or something. Right?
Well, the first thing we need to know, what comes to our body as an effect comes for our good. So I don't fight effects. Yes, I do something for the effects if needed, but usually at my body I do nothing for the effects. But I try to do something for the cause. Now, why some people who are listening to the message can make the decision easy and others not, I cannot answer. Because I have people in my practice, when I look to their face, I think they never get it. But I'm going to be surprised. Exactly, they get it. And the other ones that I thought, wow, they will, don't do it. I have no idea. But it doesn't matter. I think we just need to ask ourselves, if I cannot do it, what hinders me? Because it can only hinder me irrationality. There's nothing reasonable that can hinder me to want to not give up these things that we have that make our life miserable. But it's also, I think, the perception that we have about God. If we think God is the one that expects from me to first be good and then come to Him, then of course I will never come. I will try first to be good, that God should love me. I will give Him something so that I can receive something. That's deception. I know God is a well of water. He waits, and if you come after 20 years to Him, or after 60, and if you have killed 1 million of people, and you come to Him and drink from Him, you're saved. Because it doesn't matter how many you killed while you were separated from Him. There is nothing that should hinder us to go to drink from Him. But if we think it's difficult to drink from Him, if we think something we must do before we come to Him, that hinders us. That's why religion sometimes is a hindrance to come to God. That's why narrow-mindedness is a hindrance. That's why sometimes when we make things complex or complicated, not complex, then it becomes very, very difficult. But I'm so happy that we have only one vulnerable place in our life. And I don't want anything to stop me to not become a loving person. And I don't know through what challenges I might still go, because I go every time through such challenges. And thank God we don't have perfect wives and perfect mothers. Because then how would we ever learn to see the problem that we have in our hearts? So I cannot answer that question. But I say, let's not ask about others. Let's just say, what hinders me? And let's rule those things out. And say, it's just irrationality that hinders me to drink. God does not expect us to be seeing when we are born blind. But He offers us to take away the blindness that we might become seeing, and by seeing people fulfill our duty. Because, you see, I have this experience. In the last 10 years, I work as I never worked. I have no vacation since 2006. I work 7 days a week. And this time here, the first time I have no jet lag. It's like I was months here. I just came here, it's day and night switched off. You know, we have in Germany exact 12 hours difference. But it's like, it's nothing. And I don't know how to explain it. But the more I do, the more power I have. The more I try to preserve myself, the least power I have. So let's do it. Yes, let's jet home tomorrow, and next weekend I'm somewhere else, and the other weekend somewhere else, and then go wherever God calls you, but don't preserve yourself. Just give. Just give. So let us believe the truth. Life is then life when you give it, not when you keep it for yourself. So I don't see, some people say, well, you work too much. My wife also comes sometimes and says, you work too much. I said, how do you know? You must be God to know how much is too much. Yes? And so you must be God for that. Because only God knows how much is too much. So let's go and see how much is too much. Because He will take care for us that it will never be too much of it. Now, yes. Now, everything I teach is what I observed at my practice. So I observed when you put the physical things and the history together, and me being an ENT doctor, having things that are one-sided. You know, as ENT, you have many things that's one-sided. Yes, one nose is clogged, the one ear is damaged, the one tonsil, the one, you know. Yes, and so I say, okay, where does that come from? And so you take now his life history, and you see that what he struggles with is his mom, or whatever it was. And after, I don't know how many patients I went through, putting these things parallel them, I saw that, on the left ear, it's mom. Because the stories always were there. And so then I said, how can I prove that we have two sides. And then I went to anatomy and I saw, oh, we have two brains that are separated. They must get different inputs in one and in the other. Some people come to me and say, why do I have wax only in the right ear and not in the left? I said, because you have two brain sides. In the one you get the impulse to produce, and in the other, no impulse to produce. They're separated. That's why we have one-sided thing. And then I said, okay, let's see, where do we come from? Half mother, half father. And since the left ear was mother, and then I saw also spouse, I said, okay, that's the mother side, and the other is the father side. But then I said, okay, I have to make it systematic, because there are left-handed and right-handed people. And so I started to ask people, are you right-handed or left-handed? And then seeing that the right-handed, always your dominant hand is your mother side, and the other one is the father side. But in the end, it doesn't matter. But what it helped me is to see that the disease is a program. So I saw that to the mother side, only the spouse adds, or spouses, however you have, how many you have, and to the father side, all other relationships, even the animal relationships you have on your father side. And then I looked to the Bible and said, okay, to the father was given everything, yes? So he was in charge for the whole family, for the children, for the dog, for the cat, and for all this. And so I said, and then I proved it again and again until I was convinced. I was not easily convinced, but today I'm very convinced that our spirit lives from relationships. And if you take from here, that goes through you. And what you give, we saw, goes into your body. That's why a healthy body is only the result of giving love to others. Free love. And so that's why you can always see on the body from where you take your love. Either side, father or mother or spouse, in the end, it doesn't matter. But it was for me a great help, and I use it today when I speak to patients to show them that disease is a program. It's made by your own mind. And it comes either on the left side or on the right side, and it shows up somewhere in your body. And so when I see today a patient who comes and he complains with his left ear, I just need to ask him, is he right or left-handed? I don't tell him necessarily the things, but sometimes I'm very tempted when I look into his ear and say, how is your wife doing? So, I mean, it's just, when you once know the language of the body, no one can lie to you anymore. You see, when I take the physical things, back pain, left, right, or in the middle, or both sides, when you see the ulcer, when you see the colitis, when you see the morbus Crohn, when you see the allergies, whatever you see, they just share with you what heart burden you went through. That's what they share with you. So the body is a very, very nice mirror of that what is in our hearts and out of our burden. That's why when I take the physical history, I take it always first, because then humans tell me the problem. And then I take the spiritual history, but even that, I don't start with the spiritual things, I start with the diseases of mother, the diseases of father, the diseases of the siblings. When they all tell me their diseases, I know how broken and not broken the family is. You just can't tell it. And then you come to the story of relationships that then confirm that what you already know is in the body. So you never know, you don't know anymore to know this history as example, because you know it's always about in whom you trust. So I could go in 5 seconds to the point, but I would overwork the patient because he would never see it. So to prove to one point, I have to have 8 to 10 meetings to just say so many things to come just to one conclusion. Is that interesting? So that's why we can see on our body how we work. Our bodies are a very, very good thing. But in the end, it doesn't matter. Whatever shows up, why should I not see that I always am deceived? But we must understand also this. You know, did I have guilt thoughts when I remembered what I did? Did I have guilt thoughts or no? No. You know, I don't have guilt thoughts. Because did I want to hurt? No. So if you do it without a choice, how can you have guilt? But that what I experience, I go to God and said, God, I'm still in prison. I still am somewhere deceiving myself. Open my eyes to see it. Because for me, my failure is a discovery. It's a help. For me, disease is not a punishment. It's not a reproof. It's a discovery, a revelation for something that you can do nothing about it. But now that you see it, will you do something about it or will you excuse yourself? That's the two things. To excuse yourself or try to fix the causes and go with guilt to God. I never go with guilt to God. Because since He converted me, I don't do things wrongly because I want them. I just do them because I have no choice. There is no premeditated thing that I should do just because of something. No, I just fall that I might see myself, that I'm still there, there's still a thing, but I go to my God as a helper, not as one that looks there and says, hey, you failed again. No. I know He wants to train me. He wants to make me free. And He knows when that day comes when I have done the last time error in my life. Because I believe in liberation. I want to be free one day to love totally. Please, there was a question.
Okay, a quick one. When I attended the first session last week, I went to share it with a friend.
Yes?
Tried to convince him to come and enjoy it. But you raised a very good question, which I decided to pose it to you. He said, how about somebody who is bitten by malaria and has gotten plasmodium in his bloodstream and is multiplying? What can the thought process undo that? And so my question to you is there a way that in presenting such a beautiful message like this, you can make a caveat that, oh, this will work and the lifestyle aspect will be, will be applicable to this presentation?
Yeah, so the question is, are there infectious diseases or not? Yes, we can be beaten by a mosquito. We cannot avoid it, can we? No. But it takes more than a mosquito to get malaria. It takes more than a tick that bites you to get borreliosis or Lyme disease. What does it take more? Because I have been in places where there is malaria, and I didn't do anything about it for myself. But I saw that the people there are bitten full of mosquito bites. And there are 500 children in a school and 2 get malaria. How does you explain that? And if I took all those, I could check myself. Their history showed before they got the malaria, severe stress. It's like with us here with the virus as the flu. You see, I'm the whole day, when I look into the mouth of people, they cough on me. Those little beasts, they would devour me. I have no fear because my body needs to take them and to use them. It's not from that it is alone. It is not that something just external happens. Yes, poison. A snake, if it poisons me, I die. Yeah? But if a mosquito bites me, it depends on me if I get malaria or not. And I have ticks every day, every year. Yeah? Because I live out in the country and I go in the woods. I remove them and that's it. Because it is my body. It's always our body who determines if you get something or not. And that's very healthy. You see, my wife never got, in 36 years of marriage, when I kissed her, to be infected from the virus. You know? She never got it. You know why? Because she has no program for it. So you can turn on her the virus and nothing will happen. Because this body is like a computer. If he has not the program for it, it won't happen. So that's why we need to know a little bit more than the things that are told to us. Because one message is clear. When you try to hide from something you cannot control, how much security do you have? How much? None. You see, and when I came to understand these things, I went to God and said, why do we not find in the Bible a great danger in the bugs? I mean, when bugs would be so dangerous, because today we say the virus, the tumor comes from virus. Yes, I believe that, but who makes the virus? Because virus is not a living being. It's just a physical information. So who makes it? Who generates it? And my personal belief is the body itself. Yes, it is done on intention. But that's just I cannot prove it with I have no lab to prove it. But what I know, if the danger would lie outside of us, then God would have warned us or not. But he did not. He said, if you only keep my commandments, I will lay none of those diseases that I put on the Egyptians. And if you read Deuteronomy chapter 31, where you have the blessings and the curses, you will find in the curses almost all chronic disease that we have today, including the panic attacks, and great fears. You'll find them all. Because this is what we need to understand. This is our problem, not the physical things. They are included in here. But the physical things, when we do them, are not included. Love is not necessarily included. But if we have love, lifestyle is included, balance is included, temperance is included, everything is included. But if you do the other things, like lifestyle and this and that, love is not included in them. So you still fail and you still die on your heart attack, even though you run and you ate vegan and all this, because your heart was broken and connected to the human and not to God. So will we become wise or not? Please. Now, with the animal world, it's like with our world. The animals are dependent on us. And if I would be a veterinary, I would treat whom? The owner. Yes, because that's why the animal get the diseases, and they get almost all the similar diseases that the humans have, but only here, not in the wild. Go into the wild and see the animals, if they have cancer. Yes, please.
What's your comment on vaccinations?
On vaccinations, very simple. Can you avoid something or not? I don't think vaccinations are dangerous in itself, even though they have a certain amount of poison. But I survived them. I had to do them. You know, I was raised in communist country. They just came to school and you got all your vaccinations for free. I mean, you were obliged to. But you see, I survived. I survived. So I don't put on anything physical any heavy measurement. If you need to do it, my son, to become an American citizen, he lost his vaccination sheet, yeah? I mean, his booklet from his childhood, you know, you have all the vaccinations. He could not prove anything, so they gave him all the shots at once. So he was sick for 1 week, but then he recovered. Yes, until the things were removed. But I don't think in these things there is a danger. So there is more danger in the family relationship than in anything else. So let us not make vaccination or anything outside that big thing, because it's just a distraction. So I counsel and say, look, you avoid infections, but you get ADHD. What is better? Yes? Because if the input is not changed, you still get something, but it's almost worse than an infection. So better have an infection that goes away and you see the problem than you have something that you have more issues with it. You never escape. Yeah? So you can cover one, but you cannot ever. I haven't seen any this myelitis when you don't do the shot for polio. Yes, but that's the other ones where you can, yes, polio. You still have the problems, and you have paralysis because there are things going on in the family. But it doesn't matter which symptoms come out. It doesn't matter the symptom, it comes from the same place. That's why I don't put much emphasis, but I tell people if they don't want to do it, they miss nothing. If they do, they don't want to do it, they cannot avoid disease if they don't avoid the outer things. But if they want to do it and they have more security in doing it, then they shall do it. Because it's what you believe. You need, it's simpler to just be not in fear. Do it, it won't kill you.
So to take it to the extreme, if you were working in an Ebola treatment center,
yes.
do you take precautions or you just be dressed like that?
I don't know. Okay. I would need first to check if I'm susceptible for Ebola or not. Now, it's not wrong to take measurements. But of course, I will not wear a thing on the airports or so to cover my mouth. Because, you see, the danger is not outside of us. The danger is inside of us. And if we would do just that and will not be distracted again to look outside, which we cannot control, we should come to the point to control. Yeah, that's what I think is best. No questions? I promise you that tonight would be no questions, but I was not true. Well,